Fernando, a young bicycle mechanic with calloused hands and a gentle demeanor, lived a modest life in the small coastal town of Sibri. His days were filled with the sound of the sea and meticulous work on bicycles that needed his skilled touch. But his true joy was his daughter, Corinne, a 6-year-old girl with golden curls and curious eyes. Corinne was the center of Fernando's universe, despite her fragile health due to a rare heart condition that kept her tethered to a world of constant care. On a sunny afternoon, Fernando took Corinne to the local supermarket, a modest establishment with stocked shelves and a gentle aroma of fresh bread and ripe fruits. As Corinne admired the vibrant colors of the fruits, Fernando noticed a figure in the distance, near the checkout. It was Rita, an elderly lady with silver hair and a stooped posture, wearing a faded wool coat. Despite the heat, her eyes were brimming with tears as she held a small birthday cake with trembling hands. "I don't have enough money," Fernando heard as he approached. When Rita whispered with a choked voice, "It was supposed to be a cake for my Harold's birthday. He would have turned 80 today." Moved by a compassionate impulse, Fernando approached gently, holding Corinne's hand. "Please, let me help," he said, reaching for his wallet. "We can't let Harold's birthday go without celebrations." Rita looked at him, her eyes lighting up with a mix of surprise and gratitude. "Would you do this for me?" "I don't know how to thank you." "You don't need to thank me," Fernando replied, smiling. "Helping someone is always a gift. Also, my name is Fernando, and this is my daughter, Corinne." "I'm Rita." "You have a generous heart, Fernando." "Harold would have liked you," she said, a fragile smile crossing her lips as the cashier processed the purchase. Fernando knelt beside her, giving her a tight hug. "Sometimes, a small gesture can make someone's day special, dear," he explained, kissing the top of her head, "just as you make all my days special." As they left the supermarket, Fernando looked back, seeing Rita waving to them, holding the cake with a new sparkle in her eyes. He didn't know at that moment, but that simple act of kindness would open a new chapter in their lives, full of twists and unforgettable moments. On a peaceful afternoon, while playing in the park under Fernando's watchful eye, Fernando's daughter, Corinne, suddenly stopped. Her hands clutched her chest, and her eyes filled with fear and confusion. "Daddy, it hurts," she whispered before collapsing helplessly to the ground. Paralyzed by a brief moment of pure terror, Fernando rushed to her side, lifting her into his arms. "Please, someone help me," he pleaded, his heart pounding desperately. With the characteristic calm of an experienced doctor, Milena responded quickly. "Fernando, I'm on my way. Take her to the hospital immediately. I'll meet you there." Milena found Fernando in a state of maternal anguish beside the unconscious Corinne. She quickly took control of the situation, coordinating with the doctors and nurses, her professionalism shining even amidst personal attention. Hours passed, each minute feeling like an eternity for Fernando, while Milena remained by his side, offering support and understanding. Finally, the doctor emerged, his face serious but more hopeful. "Mr. Fernando, your daughter is a fighter. We've stabilized her, but she needs ongoing treatment and possibly surgery. It's a complex heart condition," the doctor explained. Milena intervened, discussing technical details with the doctor, using her experience to better understand the situation. "Let's devise a treatment plan," she said, turning to Fernando. "I'll be here to help every step of the way." Fernando, you're not alone in this." With tears in his eyes, Fernando could only nod, grateful for Milena's presence. "Thank you, Milena. I don't know what I would do without you here." Milena became a beacon of hope for Fernando, guiding them through the maze of treatments. Her dedication not only saved Corinne but also strengthened the invisible bond that formed between her and Fernando, a bond forged in adversity, solidified by compassion and care. Days passed, and Corinne needed to undergo surgery. She required a heart transplant, and a month later, a donor was found. Fernando felt his heart tighten as he waited in the waiting room, the hours dragging like days. Milena, who had briefly stepped out of the operating room to update him, returned with comforting news. "She's doing well, Fernando. The surgeons are doing an amazing job. Corinne is strong. She will overcome this." After hours that felt like an eternity, the doctor appeared. "The surgery was a success," he announced. "Corinne is stable and recovering. She's a fighter." Tears of relief welled up in Fernando's eyes. He turned to Milena, his gratitude inexpressible in words. "You helped save my daughter, Milena. I don't know how to thank you." Milena shone, tears glistening in her own eyes. "I did what any doctor would do, Fernando. Corinne is a special girl." In the days that followed, as Corinne recovered, Fernando realized that his feelings for Milena deepened. She was no longer just a friend or the doctor who saved his daughter. She was someone he wanted to share every moment of joy and challenge with. One night, as they watched Corinne sleep peacefully in her hospital bed, Fernando held Milena's hand. "You've changed our lives, Milena. I feel something more for you, more than gratitude and friendship," he confessed, his heart pounding. Milena looked at Fernando, a gentle smile on her lips. "I feel it too, Fernando. Since that first night you came to dinner, there's something special between us." That moment sealed a new phase in their lives, an unspoken promise to explore this new feeling that had emerged between them. A feeling born in the midst of adversity but blossoming with the promise of love and hope. Days passed, and Fernando began to visit Rita's house more and more to see Milena. Rita became a very important figure in Fernando's life. However, Rita's health deteriorated rapidly until the news of Rita's death came as an unexpected blow, deeply shaking both Fernando and Milena. It was a gray afternoon when Milena called Fernando, her voice trembling with sadness. "Fernando, it's me, Milena. I have more news. My mother, she passed away this morning," she said, trying to hold back the tears. Fernando felt his heart tighten. "Oh, Milena, I'm so sorry," he replied, the weight of the news uncovering what an incredible woman her mother was. "She will be greatly missed." In the days that followed, Fernando and Milena found solace in each other, sharing memories of Rita and the impact she had on their lives. Rita became more than just a friend to Fernando, she was an almost motherly figure, whose kindness and wisdom deeply touched his heart. The reading of Rita's will took place in a small room overlooking the garden she loved so much. Fernando and Milena were together, seeking strength in each other's presence. Rita's lawyer, a middle-aged man with a gentle manner, began reading the will. "I, Rita Silva, declare that a portion of my inheritance be left to Fernando and his daughter, Corinne, in gratitude for the kindness and compassion shown in my life," said the lawyer. Fernando felt a wave of shock and surprise. I didn't expect this, he murmured, looking at Milena. Milena opened Fernando's hand. My mother always wanted to care for the safety of others, Fernando. She saw something very special in you, said Milena. The lawyer continued detailing that the inheritance included a significant amount of money and some sentimental pieces that Rita wanted Fernando and Corinne to have. Fernando was stunned, not only by the material generosity, but by the emotional depth behind it. She gave me much more than money, he told Milena later. She gave me a part of herself, her family, her history. I will honor her memory every day. Milena looked at Fernando, her eyes filled with tears and gratitude. She brought us together, Fernando, in a way no one could have predicted. Rita's inheritance was not just a financial gift, it was a legacy of love and gratitude, uniting Fernando, Milena, and Corinne in a way that time and memory cannot erase, an eternal reminder of the transformative power of a simple act of hope. After receiving Rita's generous inheritance, Fernando found himself faced with new possibilities to improve his life and that of his daughter, Corinne. Sitting at the kitchen table with documents and notes spread before him, he carefully contemplated each decision. What do you think about visiting some new schools tomorrow? Fernando asked, smiling at his daughter, who was drawing nearby. We can choose the best ones. Corinne looked at him with eyes shining with excitement. I would love that, Dad. I want to learn more about stars in the ocean, she said. Fernando warmly laughed at Corinne's childish curiosity. Then let's find the best place for you to become the greatest explorer of stars and oceans. In addition to investing in Corinne's education, Fernando also decided to improve his office. He acquired new tools, a more modern workbench, and even hired an assistant, which allowed him to have more time to spend with Corinne and Milena. You really made this place, Fernando, Milena commented, admiring the renovated office during one of her visits. Fernando wiped his hands on a cloth, grateful. Thanks to Rita, every improvement here is a reminder of her generosity. As Fernando's and Corinne's lives improved, their relationship with Milena also deepened. They spent more time together, whether in quiet dinners at home or walks in the park with Corinne. These simple yet precious moments strengthened the bond between them. I never imagined my life would change so much, Fernando confessed to Milena as they watched Corinne playing in a sunny park one afternoon. Milena took his hand. Life is full of surprises, Fernando, some sad, others wonderful. What matters is who we share these moments with. I'm so grateful to plan them with you, said Fernando, squeezing Milena's hand. The changes brought by Rita's inheritance were not only material, but also emotional and relational. Fernando, Corinne, and Milena found in the sadness of loss a path to a brighter future, united by love and the memory of a woman who had changed their lives with a simple act of generosity. Days passed, and Fernando and Milena got married and moved in together with little Corinne. Years went by, and Corinne, now a lively and dreamy teenager, brought home some news that left Fernando somewhat uneasy. Dad, do you remember Renato? He's back in town. We met at the park today, and he's so cool, she said, her eyes shining with juvenile excitement. Fernando, remembering Renato as the boy who used to cause trouble in school, felt a twinge of concern. Renato? Is he a good person now? He asked, trying to keep a light tone. Corinne, sensing her father's hesitation, replied with a sigh. People grow up, you know. He's really nice and smart. We have a lot in common. In the following days, Corinne spent more time with Renato, and Fernando couldn't help but feel his growing discomfort. He watched through the window, his heart heavy, as Corinne laughed and talked with Renato in the backyard. One evening, during dinner, Fernando decided to express his concerns. "Corinne, I know you like Renato, but I just want to make sure he's the right person for you, considering his past," he said, trying to be careful. Corinne, frowning, interrupted him. "Dad, you always taught me to believe in the best of people. Why can't you do that with Renato? He's different from what he used to be." Fernando sighed, realizing the growing distance between them. "I just want to take care of you, Corinne. I love you, and I don't want you to get hurt." Corinne, with tears in her eyes, got up from the table. "You need to trust me, Dad. I'm not a child anymore." The following weeks were marked by tense silence and brief conversations. Milena, noticing the tension between Fernando and Corinne, said gently, "She's growing up. We have to give her space to make her own decisions, even if it scares us." And she continued, "Trust is the foundation of any relationship. Maybe it's time to trust Corinne." These words echoed in Fernando's mind that night as he tossed and turned in bed, Milena's words mingling with memories of Corinne's smiles and hugs when she was younger. At dawn, Fernando made a decision. He decided to make things right with his daughter. After breakfast, Fernando found Corinne, who was sitting in the garden, her eyes fixed on a book. "Corinne, can I talk to you?" he said, his voice trembling. Corinne looked at him, surprised. "Of course, Dad." Fernando sat down beside her, carefully choosing his words. "I've been thinking a lot," he began. "I realize I've been very protective, maybe too much. I want you to know that I trust your choices, and if Renato is important to you, then I want to give him a chance too." Corinne closed the book, her eyes filling with tears. "Do you really mean that, Dad?" Fernando nodded, a lump forming in his throat. "Yes, and I apologize for not realizing this sooner. You're growing up, and I need to learn to let you live your own life. Corinne embraces Fernando, hugging him tightly. "Thank you, Dad. I love you." "I love you more than anything," Fernando said, hugging her back. This moment marked a new chapter in Fernando and Corinne's relationship. Fernando learned to balance his protective instincts with the need to let his daughter make her own choices, while Corinne observed the deep love and care behind her father's concerns.